I've never had a comfortable place to sit and read and work in my journal, and this is something I threw together with some scrap plywood. And if you'd like to see how you can make one of these lap tables, follow along. I started off with this 3/8 inch piece of pre-finished cabinet wood. You can get this sometimes from a scrap at a cabinet dealer. Now, I left this out in the weather and the edges got a little bit wrecked. So what I'm going to do is cut off about an inch from the outside, and I'm going to take and score that area. So I have an inch that I'm just going to lop off, and then I'm going to measure from that 1 inch 20 inches over, and that 20 inches gets me right between the sides of my chair, so I know it will fit into my chair. I'll mark the midpoint at 10 inches, and then I'll take and use a little pattern. Believe it or not, I love to just grab something close at hand. This is a lid from a chocolate container, and on the edges of my pattern I'm going to score a little semicircle, and then I'll do likewise on the other side, scoring that. And you're going to see I don't do a lot of measuring other than that first measurement because I like using these patterns. And if you look around, you can find round things around your house. Now that's about the size I want it to be, so I have to find a pattern for that. I've got my midpoint here, and I'm just going to sketch here a basic outline of where I want my tummy to fit into my table, and I'll score a center point so I know where to put the pattern. And what I found to use, other than this lid, is a great big plastic bowl. And this is just perfect. And I'm going to center it right between the areas I scored using the lid. And this will give me kind of a symmetrical roundness where I'll cut out for my gut to fit into. So I have a basic outline right now, and I'm going to go ahead and take my jigsaw, and the jigsaw, I'm using a really fine tooth 20 tooth per inch blade, and that many teeth gives you a fine cut top and bottom. I'm going to use my hold fast, and notice I keep rearranging this on the workbench. I want to make sure when I cut that more than half of my pattern is hanging out like a diving board. If you don't do this, you're going to end up making one cut and then two cuts and moving it again and again. Here I will cut through and make a single cut and then move it and make a second cut before I have to flip it over. Now I found why try to hold this jigsaw perfectly straight for a long straight cut when all I have to do is clamp a yardstick, and notice I'm squaring it up to my square sides, and just clamp that yardstick there, and now I can just take this saw that's made for curving cuts and make a real nice straight cut coming across, and you'll see that'll fall off. It looks like I cut it with a table saw. Now I'll go ahead and make some curving cuts, and I'll come along here making sure that I know where the edge of my workbench is, because guess what? I've cut into my workbench before and it isn't pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and cut along here. The safe way to hold this saw is two hands on the top. I have eye cover and ear cover while I'm using this. Now I'm going to go ahead and loosen up my holdfasts, spin it around, and get it in a location where I have the cut that needs to be made hanging off of my workbench table. I'm going to come across there and make that cut. So I'll start here, making a fairly long straight cut. I could have used the yardstick again, but I thought I can handle this and cut along. I've been using one of these jigsaws for years and years, since I was about 7 years old, and now I'm 75. So for the last 68 years, these things have served me very well. You can see I'm coming across here. It even has a blower that works pretty well along with my blower. So there's the part here for my tummy to fit into. And I'll just spin it around. If you take your time with one of these saws, there's very little correcting you have to do later with a file to get rid of anything that you did incorrectly. Now, I'm going to take this trimming router, and I have a 1/4 inch round blade there, and I'm setting it here. You can see the roundness, and I have it set down so I won't accidentally cut a little notch into the top. Now I have that little bead on the edge, and an easy way to get rid of it is take some of this 150 sandpaper and just run it on the side. The router itself will scuff up the edge, so that little furry scuff up can be made to disappear with a little bit of sanding. So I'll go back and forth until you don't usually need to look at it. Feel it with your hand and you'll feel any imperfections that need to be sanded away. Yeah, that's nice. So I'm going to take some of this 3M Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive. I'm going to go outside and spray this really well and bring it back in here and just hold it down. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Now I have that glue on the back side. I'll lay it down and then smooth out any wrinkles. And this little puffy foam lining is just perfect for giving a little bit of padding on your thighs and preventing any slippage when it's sitting there. Now we'll take a look, and this is what I end up with. You can see I got the padding on the back. It sits down nice horizontally from my size, and then I can take my book if I want to and set it on here. But normally this isn't so necessary for a book, but what I really like it for is grabbing my journal and being able to write. And I can do this in a nice comfortable seated position, and all of this for something that I basically didn't pay anything for. It was all scrap materials, but you could probably purchase a piece of wood like this or get one donated to you very inexpensively. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.